to another stream on Everyday Aviator. Today we will be covering the new AnyBuilds B-2 Spirit. Kind of snuck its way onto the market, stealthy like, no pun intended. And it's actually been out for a little over a week as of this recording, and I just happened to stumble upon it. There was not really any ads out for it or any type of advertising in that aspect. At least I never did see anything, and I'm constantly always searching for new stuff that is any type of add-on or user experience for Microsoft Flight. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So the cockpit does look, I guess, pretty good. It definitely doesn't seem horrible. It's definitely better than some aircraft I have seen in other types of aircraft. Can't really, take I don't know if you ever flew the B-21. It does use a very weird cockpit. I actually think it's the cockpit for the Halo vehicle or whatever it is, but I mean, I can understand. Nobody knows what that cockpit looks like, so might as well make something up. And I do not know what the actual cockpit for a B-2 looks like. I've not tried to look up any pictures or anything, and I imagine it's actually classified. I don't know. There might be pictures of it out there, but going off of no knowledge of what the cockpit should look like, to me it looks pretty good. Everything's laid out pretty well, easy to get to. About half the stuff works in it, give or take a little there. Enough works in it to make it very fun to fly. So let's get this started up. First, as always, you'll want to turn the battery on, which is over here on the left side. And you'll hear the battery start to come alive there. If you're flying at night, here are your knobs for the instrument lights and the shield glare and all that good stuff. So you can turn that on if you need it. After you get the battery started, right here on this same panel is the external power button, which you can click it and get it going if you have external power available. If not, just go ahead over here and let's get the APU started. I do not know if you actually have to turn your fuel valves on first for that. I know some aircraft you do. I just go ahead and turn them all on. So it's these 6 knobs right here. Turn all 4 of them in the vertical position. Now that you have that, you can go to this overhead center panel. I've made a quick button to get to it. You can go ahead and turn the lights on if you want. Technically you wouldn't turn the strobe beacon on quite yet, but I went ahead and turned them all on just for the sake of it. Oh, while we're up here, this is where you get the hatch open for getting in and out of the plane if you was in real life or whatever. These knobs do not work, so don't worry about them lights. They might in the future, who knows, but for now it's these 3 for your external lights other than your taxi and landing lights, which we'll get to a little bit. You do have some more overhead lights here if you do need it, your like floodlights, stuff like that. To start the APU, it's right down here. You'll hit left APU start and right APU start. Imagine that. And you can hear them cranking up. Also, something else I'm not really covering at this point right now because I'm not intending this video to be for this aspect, but it's to set up a flight plan. But normally you'd have already done it by now before you'd have started your APU. I do not know how well it works. I've not actually tried it yet. I will eventually and just see how it does. The APUs are running, so I will just briefly go over some of these panels here and what you can do with them. So this is the default. This is what it should look like when you first load in, but you can see your different things here. Your fuel, it shows percentages, how much your total weight is, and electrical systems, and your map. don't really know how well the map works yet, like if it shows up other aircraft. I think it does, actually. I think there's a radar on here. Under this stats, radar, yes. Yes, it does. It's showing the aircraft. I thought it did. I've not actually tried it. I just had read about it. I don't know if this is all aircraft or just like live traffic, just multiplayer, I'm not sure. But you got other different stuff. Distance to ground, I've not actually tried this while in the air. If I can remember, we might try that. Weapons, yeah, that didn't work. Radar though, your infrared or thermal vision, they don't seem to work. And that's the program, I did not think any of them worked. And then you can get the nav menu right there, but whoops, excuse me, you already have one down here, so I will go back to the engines page for this. So this is a quick overview on that. You do have your airspeed indicator right down here as well as right here. And that's your altimeter. That's where you would set your barometric pressure as well with this knob. I'm going to go ahead and set that just by using the quick button though. But we do have our APUs running. You can see it here. And we get a lot of green and red, or yellow and red stuff, which we'll clean that up by the end. I'm going to go ahead and turn off external power since we're good there. So now that we got that, I'm going to go ahead and start working on getting the engine started. So let's turn on our bleeds. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we're going to go back up to this overhead panel here. And click on 1. And we should be able to look down here on our center console. And yep, we can start seeing it increase there, our RPMs, which is good. That means it's working. And we'll go ahead and start the rest of them. In real life, I'm sure you would start one at a time, or at least wait a little longer in between. While those are cranking up, I'm going to go ahead and go back over here to the left side. I'm going to turn on all 4 engine generators. That way we can turn the APU off afterwards. So we got them running. We're done with this side for a little bit here now. I'm going to continue to let them crank up. While they're starting up, I'll briefly hit on the autopilot right now. I'll go over it more in depth once we're up in the air, but your autopilot is actually separated by 2 different ones: vertical, altimeter, course select, and heading select. And those are your knobs, and these do not work, as of yet at least. But the autopilot does work by using these knobs and the buttons up here, and it actually does work pretty good. I haven't tried it on a IFR flight. I've just used it for heading flight, not actual nav mode, so don't know about that right now. Okay, all 4 engines are started up. I'm going to go ahead down here, back in the center console, and turn on the pack. The equipment pack, it does not work right now. I'm going to turn on the static heat. The windshield heat does not work as well right now, and nor does the anti-ice. Now that we got them, we can turn off bleed.
Warning.
Okay. Oh, excuse me. Actually, no. Leave the bleed on. Alright, now we can turn off our APUs. And external power available and just parking brakes. So we get everything cleaned up, so we're good now. And if you already didn't gather, this is a digital display. Shows how much fuel you have remaining in each section of the aircraft. Alright, quick review here, make sure we're good. APUs are off, all engines are running good. I've got all my lights on except my taxi light. There are no flaps in this aircraft, so don't worry about flaps. do not have to do anything else on the upper panel here until we are done flying. So we're going to go right here, turn on our taxi lights, and let's get the B-2 Spirit in the air. We are currently at Patrick Space Force Base in Florida, which if you watched many of my videos, I fly from here a lot. And I don't know hardly anything about the B-2 other than what it looks like. I've actually learned a little bit about it since I've picked this up. One thing interesting I've learned is it has ejection seats. I did not know the B-2 had ejection seats. And if you're wondering, like I was, what these flaps are right here, these little inlets that are open, what they are. So I've not actually looked it up, but I'm just going off of what I've noticed that they seem to do. I'm sure somebody watching this, if you want to comment on if I'm correct or not, that'd be great. If I'm wrong, please correct me. This is just a pure guess here, but it seems like those are only open when I'm on the ground or like under 230 so knots. So I think it is for air intake. I think it's that the engines will not get enough air without them while you're going slow or stop, because they automatically close once you get faster. So I'm guessing that's what it is. It seems to make sense that that's what they would be, but like I said, I'm not sure. So I'm going to go ahead and knock my trim up a little bit. I'm going to put it about 8. Helps a little bit if you turn it up. Like I said, there's no flaps, so we're going to go ahead and apply full power and get this bird in the air. Reduce my throttle some, and you should notice here in a moment those flaps will retract. There they go, 250 knots indicated, so that must be the speed that they close at. Leveled out here, kind of follow the coastline, and we're going to get this autopilot set up so I can show you how that works. Turn my trim down a little bit. So I've noticed if you have a physical autopilot panel, it works better, at least from what I've been able to see right now. But anyway, regardless, to change your heading, you'll see your white heading indicator there. If you just hold click and pull this, it will move it. So that's how you would use this. Alternatively, you could just use your keyboard, which seems to work better, or if you have the physical autopilot panel, it works just as good. For the altitude, so far every time you'll use it the same way, and you can see what it's selected here. One click is 500 feet, so, or you can click and hold it and it'll pull it up. One thing I've noticed, I don't know if this is something I'm doing wrong or what, but as soon as you hit altitude, it goes ahead and resets it to whatever your current altitude is at. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now since I'm around 10,000 foot. So I'm going to hold or turn on autopilot altitude on. So since I was right at 10,000 when I did it, it'll go back down to 10,000. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on the heading. And I'm going to turn it a little back to the left here. Yeah, there we go. That should be good. I've not tried the approach or nav like I was saying earlier, so I don't know how well that works. So if I am now going to want to climb, I would just change this and then do my vertical select. Like I said though, it seems to work better if you have an actual autopilot panel. So we're going to go ahead and turn it up to 20,000 feet. Actually, we're going to go to 25. And there's a reason for that in a minute. I will go over 25, and we're going to hit our vertical a few times and see what we're climbing at. 2,500, 2,600 feet per minute. Alright, yep, we'll let it do that. Alright, we're about to level off at 25,000 feet. And the reason for this is because now I'm going to cover the payload delivery system, which is pretty cool that they integrated this in to make it work. And it does, it's pretty cool. Anyway, you need to be at over 20,000 feet. If I remember reading correctly, you need to be at over 230 knots, I think it is. It might be 280, can't remember. Either way. Be over one of those airspeeds. It'll either work or it won't work. Simple enough. But, like I said, we're at 25,000 feet. So the first thing to do is you want to open the cargo bay. And here you can see them opening. They're actually modeled pretty good. It's pretty cool. Seems to look pretty cool. Like I said, I don't know what it actually looks like, so I can't really say it looks legit, but it looks legit. Okay. Alright. So here we are. And now to release them, at first I was thinking it was main weapon REL, which I thought was good for release, but it's not. That's actually refill. I'll go over that in a second. So you will press this weapon fire button here. As soon as you press it, it will go ahead and start releasing them. So have your camera set up if you want to see it already. And there you go. So, like you seen, they do disappear after a few seconds. So there's no actual like explosions or anything, but you can still be up here and check them out. So now you do want to refill, so you will hit this weapon refill. And you'll see them spinning around, and once it's done doing a cycle, they'll all magically appear. Like so. And then as soon as it's done, you're ready to do it again. No restriction as to how many times you can do that. You can do it over and over. Go ahead and close the doors now. Something else I'm going to cover while we're over here and at a nice easy cruising altitude is the stealth mode. So if you look on the aircraft right now, you can see my nav lights. You can see them above and below. So what the stealth mode does is it retracts them and turns off all lights. You can now see they are hidden, and that just increases the stealth capabilities of it. It just helps it not show up on radars easy. said I was going to try and check out this, let's see, vertical ground. Oh yeah, it does work. Very cool. I wonder if you can zoom in somehow. I don't know if you can or not. You might be able to somehow, I just don't know. It's just the brightness. But anyway, that's pretty cool, it does work. So let's go ahead and get this gal decreasing and in amplitude, that is, and we'll set it up for landing. Alright, I am turning it around to land at Palm Beach International. Of course a B-2 would not land there, but we're going to do it anyway. I will be doing this as a visual approach, not IFR for an ILS landing, anything like that. This will be pure visual approach here. So one thing to keep in mind when you are flying this is the engines are a little delayed with your response input, so it does take them a minute to wind up and slow down, so it can be a little more tricky trying to hold a certain airspeed unless you use the autopilot. So just be aware of that. If you're flying pretty low speeds, it does take a second for the engines to get spooled up to start providing that thrust needed to increase its speed. Looks like I'm probably coming in a little high. I did try to look at the MTAR for Palm Beach, and it was saying there was no wind speed. Coming, no direction or anything, so I don't really know which runway is technically active right now. And so I'm just going to land on whatever this runway is. 09, 10, I don't know what it is, but we're going to land on it. And go ahead and get my landing gear out. Continually adjusting my trim. There we go. Sounds like the gear is out. I do have 3 good green lights I can see on my physical display. Slowly let my airspeed go down. And again, as a reminder, there are no flaps in this, so don't worry about trying to set flaps. You do have air brakes, or speed brakes, whichever you want to call them. I have them assigned to a button on my joystick, so hopefully you do too, because I've not actually looked to see where they are physically in this plane. Airspeed's looking pretty good. I've been landing at around 150 knots. I don't technically know if that's correct or not. I don't necessarily remember seeing it in the manual for it. It could have been in there what the landing speed is for this. Of course, it depends on your weight as well. Doing my flare. There we go. And back gears down, air brake, speed brakes deployed. Pretty good looking landing there, I reckon. And I'm going to go ahead and pull off over here, get clear of the runway. Make sure I'm clear of the whole short line, and then we'll stop for a second. Alright. I'm stopping so I can turn on my taxi lights and turn off my landing lights. And I'm just going to go over here and taxi right in front, no particular area. I'm just going to go over here and demonstrate how to turn everything off. And no, I did not line it up very well. I was not trying to. Alright, now that we are stopped, we do want to go ahead and turn back on the APUs. So I'm going to let them start winding up. And go ahead and let external, well, I ain't going to do that quite yet. I'm going to make sure my APUs get started first, and then turn my engines off, then connect the ground power. I mean, you could connect it right now, but in real life, I think they would wait till your engines were off. Alright, APUs are running. So we're going to turn off the engines. Engine stop.
Caution, warning.
And there that is. So we will now turn off our landing light. Taxi lights off. Turn off our generators here. Let's see, did I turn on? I did not turn on external power yet, so we'll go ahead and do that. And it actually don't look like we have external power here. That is just fine though. Don't really need it. Turn off all my fuel pumps. Turn off my static heat in the packs. Turn off the engine bleed. And then I'm going to turn off my APU because I'm pretty much done with that now. And turn off my lights. Oh, it looks pretty good. And all that's been turned off. Everything looks good there. So then the only last thing to do is turn the master battery off. And that is pretty much it. So I hope you found this video helpful, and if you have any questions, comments, please leave them below. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and if you want to see anything certain, as always, just let me know. I do plan on doing a top 10 favorite free mods here soon, given that I have enough free time to do it. So look for that in the next couple of weeks or so. Thanks for watching, hope you learned and appreciated it, and catch you next time.